and I am the second negative constructive speaker, and I'm here to explain why restoring voting rights to felons who have completed their sentence is problematic and will fail to benefit society as a whole. These felon votes show some margin for error and problems for a few reasons, and these problems can't simply be solved by re-enfranchising felons. Convicted felons will most likely not properly utilize their right to vote. It is estimated by CBS News that about 1/4 of U.S. citizens vote blindly and base their choice on their friends or a catchy commercial or slogan, which is roughly 25 million people countrywide. If 1/4 of America cannot be trusted to educate themselves on upcoming elections, how can we feel confident that the convicted felons who have proven to be untrustworthy in the past will take the time to make an educated vote? As the first negative speaker stated before me, about 20% of inmates are illiterate, with about 19% being completely illiterate. This shocking statistic is yet another reason why we cannot be confident that convicted felons will take the time or have the resources to educate themselves and make a logical vote. Aside from that, many felons will most likely not even take the time to vote in the first place. The murderers, rapists, and thieves that make up today's felons seem to be an odd demographic to be priding themselves on a concern for voting on issues such as women's rights and crime victims in the first place. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, of the 206 million citizens eligible to vote in the 2012 presidential election, only about 130 million, roughly 64%, actually utilized their right to vote. If nearly 76 million law-abiding citizens chose not to vote, it is likely that convicted felons who have showed little care for the government in the past will choose that same route. These convicted felons that my opponent is attempting to give voting rights back to have proven themselves to be untrustworthy in the past and have shown little concern for society in the past, which leaves us no reason to believe that they will have any different mindset now that their sentence is complete. Putting in place a new policy giving voting rights back to felons who have completed their sentence does not affect any of the issues I stated above, or improve them. Aside from the obvious reasons that show felon voters may be insignificant to the voting field as a whole, there are some disadvantages to my opponent's proposed policy. First is with the issue of time. The process of implementing a new policy for a single state takes a considerable amount of time, let alone creating a countrywide policy that will work for all state legislations. According to Boundless.com, there are 3 key elements in order for a policy to go into effect: organization of the proposed policy, interpretation of the policy into each state legislature, and application of the finalized policy. Most proposed policies have a difficult time getting off the ground, let alone implemented into a countrywide affair. According to a statistic pulled from the U.S. Congress, only about 8.1% of proposed policies, on average, make it all the way through the process and get implemented. Another disadvantage to restoring voting rights to convicted felons is that the fact that felon votes may be harmful to the balance of the justice system and its position holders. It is undeniable that convicted felons would be a valuable and identifiable target for politicians. In a recent poll done by Reader's Digest, 96% of participants, which were average Americans, confessed to lying or committing other dishonest acts towards those close to them. Politicians are humans too and have earned a track record of doing whatever it takes to win votes. It has been proven in the past that politicians are willing to lie and mislead the voting population in order to obtain the position they are striving for. The famous line by President Richard Nixon after the Watergate scandal in 1973, where he stated, "In all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice," was clearly a lie to the public, which leaves us no reason to doubt that politicians are willing to lie and still do lie to citizens yet today, and convicted felons are the perfect target for candidates looking for the extra votes. Politicians are willing to seek votes by making various promises to tilt the justice system in favor of these criminals, which leads me to my next disadvantage. Convicted felons have proven to be advocates of the criminal lifestyle in the past, and may still have that same mindset even after serving their sentence. According to a study done on April of 2014 by the Bureau of Justice Statistics, an estimated 2/3, nearly 65% of 405,000 prisoners released in 30 states in 2005 were arrested for a new crime within 3 years of release from prison, and 3/4 of that, nearly 77%, were arrested within 5 years of completing their first sentence. This proves that the majority of criminals, even after completing their sentence and being placed out into the real world for numerous years, still have their mindsets on a criminal lifestyle, which could likely lead them to vote in an effort or a manner that would aim to weaken the justice system as a whole. The purpose of imprisoning felons and restoring voting rights to these felons contrasts this attempt to alleviate potential harm, and in fact gives them the opportunity to once again create difficulties within our government. It is not in our interest as a country for people whose primary interest is in pursuing a criminal lifestyle to be the ones determining the outcomes of close elections. The untimeliness of creating and implementing a new countrywide policy, the possibility of felon votes being harmful to the balance of the justice system, and the undeniable fact that most felons still have a criminal mindset even after completing their sentence are all reasons why restoring voting rights to convicted felons may be harmful to society as a whole. Our opponent's proposed policy is problematic for the various reasons I have previously stated, as it fails to benefit our country and in fact creates many potential problems within our justice system that can easily be avoided otherwise.